Good evening, everybody. This is Caleb here with Indiana Weather Online, Indiana Storm Chasing Network, and we have our first severe thunderstorm warning of the evening here in northern Indiana. This is for northwest Indiana. We got Lake County and Portage County here in northwest Indiana under severe thunderstorm warning, or Porter County rather, until 9:15 p.m. Central Time. At 8:12 p.m. Central Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm will be located over Crete, Illinois. Moving northeast at 16 miles per hour, this is a considerable warning, a level 2 out of 3 on our severe thunderstorm warning levels. This is a considerable tag, 70-mile-per-hour winds possible, as well as quarter-size hail, but also a tornado possible tag within this severe thunderstorm warning. These are supercell thunderstorms. They have some broad rotation aloft. That rotation is not quite strong enough down to the ground for a tornado warning to be issued, but tornadoes can form in severe thunderstorm warnings, so they are worth watching, especially if they are supercellular in nature. But we do have some very strong winds associated with this line of thunderstorms here moving across northeast Illinois that'll be moving into Lake and Porter County, Indiana. This line here, the storm complex right in here, you can see some stronger wind gusts moving in to the Illinois-Indiana border near Chicago Heights, the Hammond area. Moving through downtown Chicagoland right now. It just went through the Windy City at this point in time. Storms are starting to move offshore here. Moving just south of Navy Pier at this point in time. Moving through the Chicagoland area. These are crossing over into Lake Michigan and into northern Indiana at this point in time. This is our only severe thunderstorm warning in the state of Indiana. We do have a tornado watch in effect here for portions of northwest Indiana here for a couple more hours. We're going to have to watch to see if we get a downstream watch here for portions of central and northern Indiana. A little bit more uncertainty for northern Indiana and central Indiana, and that is because of a cap. We've been talking about a cap for a long time here. A cap is essentially an inversion in the atmosphere, and what that is it's a layer of warm air. It acts like a lid on a soda bottle. You shake up your soda bottle, but because it has a lid on it, nothing can come out until that lid is broken, and then everything comes off, and those air parcels are allowed to rise into thunderstorm cumulonimbus clouds and form thunderstorms. In this case, our only trigger to get storms up is our cold front, which is still off to the west in Illinois. And so all those things come together as this cold front enters Indiana. How strong will that cap be, and will these thunderstorms be able to survive as they move into central and northern Indiana, and how far east will they be able to go? If these thunderstorms are able to survive, and if that cap erodes as these storms move into northern and central Indiana, all hazards are possible tonight. We have a very potent environment if that cap is able to weaken and break. That's the big question mark, and that's why we don't have a watch at this point in time for northern and central Indiana. The National Weather Service wants to see a little bit more confidence in that cap eroding away, especially as you get into central and eastern Indiana, to make these storms are going to be able to survive the trip over across the state. If guidance trends and radar trends look to trend in that way, we'll likely see a downstream watch, including northern Indiana and central Indiana, likely until midnight or so. But for now, we don't have one across northern and central Indiana. We do have a tornado watch for Michigan, as well as northwest Indiana. In fact, I'll go ahead and toggle that on here to show you our current watches here across the state. All these yellow boxes here, this is a active tornado watch. This one here for northwest Indiana for another hour and 42 minutes here, or until 10 o'clock Central Time, 11 o'clock Eastern Time. This portion of Indiana is on Central Time, so this is 10 p.m. Central Time for this tornado watch. And this tornado watch for our neighbors to the north here, along the I-94 corridor in Michigan and points northward, we have a tornado watch up there until 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. A little bit more confidence of those storms being able to break the cap and erode the cap, have a little bit more forcing up there as well to help lift those storms up and through that stable layer in the atmosphere. So that is why we have an active tornado watch in Michigan at this point in time, but we don't have one here across northern Indiana. We want to see how these storms evolve as they move across. You can see the cold front here, really obvious where it is at. It is draped across Illinois at this point in time. All the storms of convection firing off ahead of that. We have supercell thunderstorms firing from St. Louis all the way to Chicagoland across Illinois, and is how these storms evolve, which is going to tell the story for the rest of the evening here across Illinois. We do have a lone supercell near Urbana. This tornado warning likely going to expire This supercell losing a little bit of its rotation here. But a lot of these storms are going to be hail makers tonight. Above anything else, if these supercells are able to move into Indiana, we have a really favorable environment for hail development tonight. And in some of this case, may be unusual in terms of the size of hail that some of these supercells may be able to make or produce if they're able to get through that cap and sustain themselves. The Storm Prediction Center has the possibility of baseball-sized hail tonight in any lone supercell that is able to survive and sustain itself across the state of Indiana. So that is going to be something we're going to have to watch for this evening here in any isolated storm that's able to get up. The secondary risk would be damaging winds, as well as an isolated tornado risk cannot be ruled out as well. We do have some wind shear, however, because our cloud bases are a little bit higher, might be a little bit harder for tornadoes to form. We really need really low cloud bases for these storms to become surface-based. They interact with frictional forces, and surface helicity is what we call that. But if these storms are able to drill down past that and get lower cloud bases, then we may have to look at an increased tornado risk. But for now, hail is the primary factor and damaging winds here tonight. Right now, our only severe thunderstorm warning is for Lake and Porter counties, and this is until 9:15 Central Time. So a little bit longer yet here. We have 70-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail, but we do also have that tornado possible tag on this warning as well. Currently, storms are starting to see a little bit of rain here in northwestern Lake County outside the Gary area, Hammond, Illinois area, or Hammond, Indiana, right on the state line there. Starting to see some precipitation move in. Strongest winds, though, just off to your west in Illinois. We have a very potent gust front here on the south side of Chicagoland near the Oak Lawn area. I-57 corridor here, coming up to the I-94 corridor as well in northern Illinois, getting some very strong winds here. That'll be moving into state line, northwest Lake County. This severe thunderstorm warning does have a considerable tag on it, which is a level 2 out of 4. There you can see the latest scan there. We have 2 gust fronts actually associated with this storm here. We have one here with our storm down to the south, and then we have our second supercell up to the north, which is actually producing some considerable winds on the southeast suburbs of downtown Chicago. Downtown Chicago, you're likely in the clear for the rest of the night once this batch of rain moves off to your east. You're done for the night, and likely for over the next few days as well. But this potent line here, we're going to have to watch extreme portions in northwest Lake County, Indiana, getting in them some very strong winds here. That'll be moving in across state line here, probably in the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. These storms are moving pretty quickly, moving off to the north and east at 60 to 65 miles per hour. Currently, this is our only severe thunderstorm warning in the state of Indiana. And notice how these are isolated supercells. These aren't a big consolidated line. This isn't a big storm complex that'll be moving across the entire state of Indiana. These are going to remain pretty isolated, and that's what we've been trying to communicate over the last few days leading up to this event on how, because we have a really strong cap in place in the atmosphere, any storm that's going to get up is likely going to remain isolated or by themselves, meaning your neighbor may see rain, but you yourself may not see rain. And that's really the story that we're going to have here going through the night here, is these isolated showers and thunderstorms. There are better chances for widespread severe weather and widespread thunderstorm activity is going to be northern Indiana. I think the top 2 rows of counties, Fort Wayne and north, US 30 and places northward, or US 24 and points northward, have a better chance of seeing that active and severe weather tonight. You have that better forcing up there. You have storms already present that'll congeal into a storm complex of sorts. We're going to have to keep an eye, though, on these southern supercells here across southern Illinois, near the Urbana area and St. Louis area, as they move into central and southern Indiana here tonight. However, recent atmospheric observations, recent soundings show a pretty stout cap in place, meaning that warm layer of loft is still in place, is still intact. It hasn't budged yet across central Indiana and even northeast Indiana as well. So we're going to have to see how that weakens now that we've lost some of the sunlight and that cold front approaches. However, just because we've lost the daytime heating component doesn't necessarily mean that cap automatically goes away. We can still have a pretty stout cap even though we've lost a lot of the diurnal heating that we've had here during the day. We can still have that cap in place. So that is where our uncertainty lies tonight. How widespread does our severe weather become? Is it going to remain isolated, or does it become a little bit more widespread? That is our uncertainties at this point in time, and that's just going to come down to radar and mesoanalysis, as we like to call it. What are our numbers doing? And overall data trends here tonight. So that's a breakdown of the overall environment here tonight and what it's capable of. All hazards are on the table here tonight if these supercells are able to maintain themselves, but that's the big question mark. Are they going to be able to maintain themselves throughout the entirety of Indiana as they move across Indiana? The cold front's going to move across Indiana regardless, but is it going to have enough force? Is it going to have enough oomph to break through that cap? The thinner the cap, the weaker the cap, but we have a pretty thick cap, and it's going to be hard to break. So that lid is screwed on tight on our soda bottle. So we have a lot of bubbles, we have a lot of pressure, but is that pressure going to be able to release and form thunderstorms? That's the big unknown right now. So right now, our only severe thunderstorm warning is across northwest Indiana, Lake and Porter counties, Indiana. It does have a considerable tag on it, showing signs of some significant wind gusts here in northeast Indiana, extreme northeast Illinois, near the suburbs of Chicago, getting pretty close to O'Hare too. Getting pretty close to the airports here, just on the north side, near the Hammond area. Whiting, Indiana, likely getting some very intense winds here in extreme northeast Indiana, or northwest Indiana rather, right along the I-90 corridor here. US 12 and 20, getting in them some pretty significant winds here. Going to be impacting extreme portions in northwestern Lake County with the strongest winds getting ready to cross into over Lake Michigan here. Near East Side, South Chicago, Chicago Heights, getting in on some significant wind gusts there of likely 60 plus miles per hour, perhaps approaching 70 miles per hour there in that highlighted circle. You can see some bright pinks there. This is likely 60 mile per hour winds here in brighter pinks. When you start seeing some oranges embedded within that pink, that's where you get into 60 plus mile per hour territory there. We're talking considerable there in that isolated pocket there, across extreme portions of northwestern Lake County, Indiana, and northeastern county, northeast Illinois rather, crossing I-90 as I speak, getting ready to go into Lake Michigan as it moves into likely southwest lower Michigan here over the next couple of hours. In fact, we'll go ahead and turn on a cam here for you. We actually have a INDOT cam up in that area here. Here's just south of I-90, northwestern portions of Lake County, Indiana. You can see the rain coming in here. Look at the winds blowing here. Heavy rain here blowing. We may lose some connectivity here as this thunderstorm. Look at your stoplights here, moving back and forth as well. This is south on US 41 here. You can see the street sign there. Very heavy rain moving in here as well. That's another hazard tonight. We have a lot of moisture to work with. We like to measure moisture in terms of PWATS. What is PWATS? That is an acronym for precipitable water availability, meaning how much water is the atmosphere able to hold? And we are exceedingly high, well above average in terms of our values. What is high? High is generally anything over an inch in terms of water holding capabilities, and we're at about 1.75. So the atmosphere is very, very juicy. A lot of us felt it today. I mean, it was muggy outside. You could cut the air with a knife today, thanks to the dew points and high levels of humidity today. And these storms are tapping into that. They're very, very heavy. Torrential rainfall is occurring within these storms, as well as hail and damaging winds. Right now, the strongest storm here is across extreme northeastern Illinois and extreme portions of northwestern Lake County, Indiana. In fact, if you're actually like, let's say right here near the Lansing area and Linwood area, likely not seeing too much, likely seeing some rain, some thunder, but that's about it. We have two separate storms here with the strongest gust front right up here where you see those brighter pinks. And this is going to be moving offshore, into portions of Lake Michigan here over the next couple of minutes, with our next gust front just to the south here. And that is thanks to some pretty strong bulk shear or wind shear that we have present in the atmosphere tonight. We have pretty strong winds aloft, and that is getting pulled down to the ground here associated with these thunderstorms, and that is bringing our damaging wind risk with these thunderstorms, as well as these downdrafts pull those strong winds down to the ground in the form of straight line winds. But nonetheless, severe thunderstorm warning with a considerable tag on it, 70 mile per hour winds possible, as well as quarter-size hail and a possible tornado. There is that tornado possible tag on this, as earlier in Illinois, these storms were showing signs of some broad rotation. They are still supercells in terms of their characteristics. However, a lot of that rotation right now is higher up in the cloud. It's not really super low to the ground, which is good. It's where we want it to be. But if that rotation does come back down to the ground, we'll see that on radar, and we may see it upgraded to a tornado warning. But right now, just a severe thunderstorm warning is in place, and that is what we see here at this point in time. As we turn on Hail Tracker here, let's go ahead and turn on the Hail Tracker to show you where our cores are. And we have two of them. We have two separate storms here. We have one to the south outside Kankakee, and one hail core just outside of Hammond, which is likely going to go just grazing portions of extreme northwestern Lake County, Indiana, just to the north of Hammond. Gary likely seeing some rain. We're going to have to watch this storm here as it moves towards Portage and Gary, showing some signs of some gusting out, maybe a gust front in there as well. But right now, the strongest storm is up here in northern Illinois, getting ready to glaze northwestern Lake County, Indiana. As we go back to our winds, let's go ahead and turn back our velocities to get a load of our gust front here. We have a gust front here crossing into US 41 here. This is Lake County, Indiana. Going to be coming into the Maryville area, Gary, Indiana. Your strongest winds are just off to your north and west here of this supercell here as it moves into and across Lake Michigan. Maybe seeing a little bit of broad rotation here near the Dalton area. You can kind of see this supercell has a little bit of a hook on it now again. Maybe seeing some broad rotation. Now, nothing screams tornadic at this point in time, but it is going to be an area to watch as it could impact the Hammond area and Whiting area over the next few minutes or so. So definitely an area we're going to have to watch. Keep in mind, this does have a tornado possible tag on it, meaning these storms have exhibited a little bit of rotation in them as well as they've moved into Indiana. These are supercells. They do have rotating mesocyclones associated with it. Now, most of their rotation is aloft, but occasionally that does come down to the ground. We call that cycling, where it weakens, it lifts, and then it comes back down a little bit. That's our natural part of the supercell's life cycle, and we may have been seeing that there a little bit as well. Special weather statement on this Urbana, Illinois cell. A little bit weaker here, but it is a supercell. Going to have to keep an eye on that guy for any re-strengthening. Our main focus is going to be on these two supercells across Indiana here. Nice little gust front coming into the US 41 area. Might have some gusty winds there as well. Right now, the strongest winds, I'll highlight them for you. We have a gust front right in there. And then our strongest gust front is right in here, coming offshore over Lake Michigan right now is where the strongest winds are. And here's a live look here at, this is, I believe, US 41, just west of Marysville. Try to get this to load back in. There you go. You can see the rain curtains there really blowing there. Winds of probably 45 miles an hour plus there. Perhaps even a little bit stronger. Perhaps getting into the 50 mile per hour range there. Look at the power lines galloping there. Reduced visibility as well. Very heavy rainfall occurring with the storm. Lots of lightning. See a lightning flash there as well. Some cloud lightning. So again, very strong winds here occurring at the ground. See the cars driving there. You can see the rain blowing in their headlights. This is just to the west of Maryville on US 41 here is where we're looking at here. US 30 at Hart Street, just to the west of Maryville. So a pretty strong thunderstorm there. That'll be moving into portions of Lake and Porter County eventually as well over the next few minutes or so. Back to radar here. There's our gust fronts sitting right in there, crossing US 41 with the strongest winds over Lake Michigan at this point in time. But we do have this hail or supercell down to the south that we're going to have to keep an eye on too. A little bit of a gust front there near the Grant Park area, State Road 1 in Illinois, south of Beecher. That'll be moving into southern portions of Lake County as well. But again, damaging winds, quarter-size hail, and a possible tornado within the storm as well. So multiple hazards here associated with this. This is in effect until I think they extended this warning as well. This is in effect now until 9:15 p.m. Nope, they left it the same. But it has picked up speed. It's moving northeast at 70 miles an hour. So it's picked up quite a bit of speed. But something we're seeing here, if I hit play here, you'll actually see it pretty well. Notice how this middle storm here is weakening quite a bit. But we also see this gust front intensifying a little bit as it enters US 41. So what could be happening here within this storm? We could be seeing a little bit of collapsing going on within its updraft. And when that happens is there's also a little bit of dry air aloft as well. That can get intertwined with the updraft and downdraft of a thunderstorm. And that what that causes is that dry air causes what's called evaporative cooling. And what that happens is evaporative cooling, well, it cools the air. And when you have a downdraft and a collapsing thunderstorm, that helps pull the stronger winds down to the ground as that storm is collapsing. Excuse me. And that is probably giving us some nice little gusts there, as we saw on the camera, just to the west of Maryville there, southwest of Maryville, some strong winds impacting the area. Very strong winds over Lake Michigan here associated with our supercell. This is going to move offshore north of Lake County. Excuse me. My throat is a little dry tonight, so bear with me. I apologize about that. But this is our only severe thunderstorm warning in the state of Indiana. As we go a little bit further north here, Michigan, a very, very potent gust front. If you have any friends or family along the immediate lakeshore of Lake Michigan, think Muskegon, Grand Haven, Holland, make sure they're in their safe place, away from windows, interior room. Good golly. 70-mile-per-hour winds coming ashore, as well as golf ball size hail, and even a tornado warning as well for the Muskegon area and Grand Haven area. Very, very strong complex of storms impacting there. Yeah, Brittany said it just started raining in Porter County and thundering really loud with lightning in LaPorte. Yeah, I believe that. A lot of lightning here with these storms as well as they move into northwestern Indiana. Turn back on our hail tracker here. We'll go ahead and take a look at our hail cores here. A little bit of hail, maybe some pea-sized hail just to the north of Maryville there, or Maryville there. I-65 getting in on some pea-sized hail. With our next storm just to the southwest here, getting ready to cross into Lake County, Indiana, US 41 there, just to the west of Shelby and probably just to the north of Schneider. This supercell here is showing a decent hail core as well. May get some quarters. And there you can see they trimmed back the warning for the Chicagoland area as this supercell is now moving over Lake Michigan. But they have remained our severe thunderstorm warning for northwest Indiana until 9:15 p.m. Central Daylight Time. 70 mile per hour. And get this. Train weather spotters reported a 74 mile per hour wind gust just to the east of Petone, Indiana. Try to zoom in to see where Petone is. I'm not 100% sure where that is at, but we do have a confirmed wind gust of 74 miles per hour associated with these storms. That is a considerable wind gust, and that can cause quite a bit of damage. And when you think about it, 74 miles per hour, that's on the scale of a weak tornado, an EF0 tornado. So keep that in mind. Even though it's straight line winds, you can still get some pretty strong winds with these storms. And straight line winds can certainly cause quite a bit of damage. So do keep that in mind with these thunderstorms here tonight. As we go ahead and time it out here, we'll actually go ahead and time out this storm complex for you. Let's say it holds together at its current trajectory and it's moving at 70 miles an hour east-northeast. We have Shady Lawn in 2 minutes. We have Winfield in 6 minutes. Lake Eliza in 10 minutes. We have Crestview in 15 minutes. Valparaiso, 16 minutes. And then we have Blackhawk Beach in 18 minutes. A couple other towns here. Holmesville, 26 minutes. Summit in 30 minutes here as it moves off to the north and northeast at 70 miles per hour. Pretty decent gust right now. Still associated with the storm, going to be moving into the Marysville area, I-65 corridor. Again, we do have a measured 74 mile per hour wind gust here associated with the storm, which is a considerable wind gust here. We do have that considerable warning, quarter-size hail tornado possible with a considerable damage threat on it. That's a level 2 out of 3 on our severe thunderstorm warning scale. It goes baseline 60 miles per hour. Once we get to 75, we go considerable, 70 plus. And once we hit 80 miles an hour, then it becomes a destructive tag. And that's our highest level of severe thunderstorm warning. but this is currently our only severe thunderstorm warning in the state of Indiana at this point in time. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning to the state line now out of our Urbana, Illinois supercell here. Try to switch radars here to give you a better look at it. Pretty potent gust front on the supercell here. 60-mile-per-hour winds, penny-sized hail going hazards here. But if you're south of the Attica area, gonna have to keep an eye on this area here as this supercell approaches from the west here. But currently our only severe thunderstorm warning in Indiana. And these storms, notice how they are on a weakening trend here. They are kind of falling apart as they move into Indiana, and that is thanks to a stout cap. Our strong cap is holding on across Indiana, and this may help mitigate the severe weather risk a little bit across Indiana. However, any severe thunderstorm that is able to get up will have the possibility of all hazards, including large to very large hail, damaging winds, and or a tornado or two. So all those hazards are still on the table, but they're going to be very isolated in nature tonight. And that is where our uncertainty lies for places like the Fort Wayne area, Muncie area, and places in between. Our uncertainty is grave there, and that is because of our caps. So storms are going to be pretty isolated in nature, and that is because of our stout cap that we have here. And we do have a tornado watch that just got extended into portions of northern Indiana. Wells County, Jay County, Adams County, and Fort Wayne, you guys are not included in this tornado watch. However, Huntington County, Whitley County, and points westward, you guys are. I'll go ahead and turn that on here for you guys to show you where that tornado watch is. We'll go ahead and toggle it on here. There we go. All these yellow boxes here. We got Grant County, Indiana, Huntington County, Whitley County, all the way up to northern Indiana in a tornado watch here. And this tornado watch does go into effect until 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The primary hazards, a few tornadoes and a couple intense tornadoes possible, meaning EF2 plus are possible. However, this is an isolated threat if these storms are able to maintain themselves. That is the unknown at this point in time because of our cap. We have a really strong layer of warm, stable air aloft. What's that going to... What condition or what condition of that cap is it going to be when the cold front arrives? That's the unknown at this point in time. However, Saturn's isolated significant wind gusts to 75 miles per hour possible, and isolated very large hail events up to baseball size, 2.5 inches diameter, are possible with these storms here. So again, tennis ball size hail, 75 mile per hour winds, and isolated tornadoes with an intense tornado, EF2 plus, possible with any storms here within this yellow hatched area, and also counties surrounding it as well. So even though you're not in the watch, if you're in Wells County, Allen County, all the way up to the Angola area, or points just southward, again, be prepared for rapidly changing conditions and have a way to receive warnings here tonight. This tornado watch is in effect until 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time across northern Indiana for areas west of Fort Wayne. However, the threat is going to be on the isolated side. It's not going to be widespread. It's going to be isolated supercells. Zane, Fort Wayne is not in a tornado watch, but you guys are not in the all clear yet. You guys likely won't be on the all clear until well after midnight, 1, 2, 3 a.m., until after this cold front has passed. Although it's not a widespread severe weather event, it is still a significant severe weather event. These storms are capable of being very powerful and very destructive if given the right environment and if that cap allows them to do so. So all hazards are possible, including tornadoes, large hail, potentially tennis ball, baseball size hail, and winds up to 75 miles per hour are all possible tonight. But we still have some uncertainty. We don't know how widespread these storms are going to be or if new storms are going to fire as the cold front moves into central and northern Indiana. We have a stout cap in place. What condition is that cap going to be in by the time the cold front arrives? We don't know. These storms, you can see they're weakening across northern Indiana at this point in time because of that cap. The further south you go along the cold front, the less forcing we have, the less oomph it has to lift that air and break the cap. So that's where our uncertainty lies here across northern Indiana. However, the severe weather risk is not low. It's actually quite high in an isolated fashion if these storms are able to get up and maintain themselves. So that is the going hazards here. This severe thunderstorm warning still has a considerable tag on it, tornado possible tag on it, 70 mile per hour winds, quarter-size hail, as well as a possible tornado here across northern Indiana. This is for Lake and Porter counties until 9:15 p.m. Central Daylight Time. we have a pretty potent gust front coming into the Portage area. Just outside of Valparaiso, just moved through Marysville here. You can see those brighter pinks there moving into Porter County, Indiana. We're going to have to keep an eye on you for these winds here as they move into the Porter County area. So, again, if you know anybody living in these areas, let them know. Have some strong winds moving in your direction here shortly. And not to... I also want to bring your attention, if you have anybody living in southwest lower Michigan, do let them know we have a very significant severe weather event unfolding here. Very significant winds here moving onshore into the Grand Haven, Muskegon area, as well as possible tornadoes as well. So if you know anybody in southwest lower Michigan, do let them know to stay weather aware here this evening, including the Kalamazoo area and areas elsewhere. Some very dangerous storms are moving across. And let's go outside. This is just outside the Valparaiso area, just south of Portage here. You can see that gust front coming to shore. Look at the power lines galloping there in the video feed here. You can see the trees moving back and forth. Has some gusty winds moving into town here, thanks to this gust front moving through. Although it doesn't look a whole lot, though it doesn't look significant on radar, it is still producing some damaging winds here across northwest Indiana as these storms move out of Lake County and into Porter County and far northwest Indiana. Currently a little bit further south, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning south of Danville, Illinois, which does come up to the Vermilion County line, but is not in Indiana yet. We're going to have to keep an eye on that storm over the next few minutes here as we continue to watch radar trends here this evening. Looking back on radar there's our gust front sitting right in here. Although it doesn't look as impressive on radar, it doesn't really look like a whole lot on radar, but velocity shows otherwise. We are seeing a pretty decent gust front here moving into the Portage area, Valparaiso area, US 30-94 corridor, as well as the tow road here, 80-90, getting in on some gusty winds to perhaps 60 miles per hour there. It does still have a considerable tag on it for 70 miles an hour, so some of these stronger winds could still be mixing down to the ground. So do keep that in mind if you live in Portage or Valparaiso. Could have some strong winds as well. Just outside the Maryville area, you guys are likely seeing the winds calm down just a little bit. North of Schneider, though, getting in on a little bit of gusty winds here. Go ahead and turn our hail tracker back on for that cell, just to see what our hail core is looking. It did show signs of a hail core a little bit ago, and that has weakened a little bit. Likely seeing some small hail crossing US 30 into the Valparaiso area. Likely seeing some small hail moving into town there for you. Likely sub-severe, likely pea size within that. And even with this cell back in here, wind seems to be the greatest hazard here with these cells at this point in time. We are seeing a pretty decent gust front here that'll be coming into the Valparaiso area, Portage area here shortly as the storms move into Porter County, Indiana, in extreme northwest Indiana. Showing some signs of some pretty strong winds there. Try to get another camera look here for you guys. However, all the cameras are not working across northern Indiana. Or at least the cameras that I'm looking for. Guess they're all out of service. But anyway, pretty decent gust front here. Now fully moved into Porter County, Indiana. Portage of Valparaiso on deck for probably 60 mile per hour winds here associated with this line of thunderstorms, as well as maybe some pea-sized hail coming into the Valparaiso area as well, and maybe a little bit there just north of Schneider and Lake County getting in on some very heavy rain, and perhaps maybe some gusty winds approaching I-65 there. However, our strongest winds are in Porter County, Indiana, along I-94 to US 30 here, getting in on some pretty strong winds here as the storm complex continues to move off to the north and northeast at 70 miles per hour. And we do still have a considerable warning on this, 70 mile per hour quarter-size hail, as well as a tornado possible on this. So it is possible these winds are stronger at the surface than what is being depicted on radar. So these storms are very dangerous and do pose a hazard for significant wind gusts. So do keep that in mind if you're in the Valparaiso or Portage area. Very strong winds heading your direction. And we do have an additional tornado watch to talk about here. Go ahead and toggle that back on here to show you guys where it is at. It does include portions of northern Indiana. Think Fort Wayne and points westward from Grant County, Huntington, Whitley County, and points westward are under a tornado watch until 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 5 hours and 11 minutes here. A few tornadoes and a couple intense tornadoes possible. Scattered damaging winds likely with isolated significant wind gusts to 75 miles per hour. Scattered large hail and isolated very large hail events up to 2.5 inches tennis ball size hail in diameter possible here. And that is until 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time for this tornado watch here in yellow. And this does include Vermilion County as well, the Attica area, Lafayette area, all included in this watch here until 3 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, 2 o'clock Central Daylight Time in northern and west central Indiana. But our biggest uncertainty, though, is how widespread the severe weather is going to be as these storms and the cold front approach this tornado watch that has been issued by the National Weather Service. As mentioned earlier, we have a pretty stout cap in place across Indiana still. We have a lot of warm air aloft that is going to be tough to break. So we're going to have to see how that erodes, if it weakens any by the time our cold front moves into portions of central and northern Indiana, and how isolated or widespread will our severe weather be here tonight. And we're expecting it to be on the isolated side, meaning not everybody's going to see rain tonight. Not everybody's going to have thunder tonight or severe weather tonight, but the possibility is there and the ingredients are there for some significant severe weather tonight as well. So do keep that in mind if you are anywhere across central and northern Indiana tonight. Right now, go ahead and toggle that tornado watch back off here. We do still have our severe thunderstorm warning for Lake and Porter County, Indiana. This goes on here for another 24 minutes here. Right now, our gust front is solely into Porter County here. Moving into the Valparaiso area, moving through Portage right now, likely calming down in Portage. Portage likely seeing some calmer winds at this point in time. Likely seeing winds. Right now, they appear to be below 70 miles an hour, likely around that 60 range, 50 to 60 range there in areas in brighter pink. Areas to the south, heavy rain, maybe some pea-sized hail at this point in time, but the strongest portion of the gust front appears to be in northern Porter County, moving along the toll road and along in north of US 30 between Valparaiso, Portage, going towards the Michigan City area. There you can see some strong winds there on that latest scan there via radar. And 60 mile per hour winds, though it does still have a considerable tag on it for 70 mile per hour winds. They look a little bit weaker than that. We could still have some stronger gusts mixing down, especially right in here in this core here, just south of Chesterton, outside South Haven and Lakeview. Right in there, you see some brighter pinks. Could have some stronger winds mixing down. This is going to move across the State Road 49 area, US 6, as well as a tow road, 8090 corridor there in Porter County, Indiana. Pretty strong winds here. Coming into the Woodville area, Trait Bass Mill, Morgan Park, Graham Woods points southward, Burdick, Summon, also getting in on some pretty strong winds here over the next couple of minutes, as well as this gust front moves through. We're going to have to see if we get a warning extension to include Michigan City and LaPorte. These are likely going to go just north of North Judson. Right now, North Judson does not appear to be at risk for these storms, but we're going to have to watch you for any storms that develop a little bit further south. Speaking of south, we do have another severe thunderstorm warning to talk about. This is not in Indiana at this point in time, but we do have a severe thunderstorm warning just off to the west of Vermilion County. 60 mile per hour winds, penny-sized hail associated with this isolated supercell here as it moves into or near the Illinois-Indiana border. But we do still have this considerable warning in effect here for portions of northwest Indiana until 9:15 Central Time or 10:15 Eastern Daylight Time. 70 mile per hour winds, tornado possible, as well as quarter-size hail. And there you can see a severe thunderstorm warning. A very large severe thunderstorm warning was just issued for the north here to include Berrien County, Michigan, just north of state line here. Also considerable. 70-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail here associated for this very potent line of storms here that'll be moving offshore and into southwest lower Michigan. So if you have any friends in southwest lower Michigan tonight, think Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, Lansing, let them know to be weather aware tonight. This is an extremely potent band or convection of storms. We call this an MCC, or Mesoscale Convective Complex. This is a mature MCC. And look at the winds here. Coming to shore in Muskegon, North Shores, Grand Haven. Likely seeing some 80-mile-per-hour winds mixing in here in these darker blues here. Very, very strong winds here. This is a destructive tag. 80-mile-per-hour winds, tornado possible, and penny-sized hail associated with this. Grand Haven just getting rocked right now with extremely strong winds here moving into the Grand Rapids area, Cannon area. So if you have any friends up there in this area, let them know to be weather aware and let them know to be in their safe place. Thankfully, here in Indiana, it is not that bad at this moment. We don't have any 80-mile-per-hour winds at this point in time, but we do have a considerable warning. Still in effect here for 20 minutes. Tornado possible, 70-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail. Although based on recent reflectivity, it looks to be on the downtrend. We are seeing a weakening trend on this southern end, which is good. We want to see this trend continue at this point in time, with the strongest winds just outside of Portage. Moving along the toll road, the 80-90 corridor there, as well as I-94, just to the north of Valparaiso, getting into some gusty winds, perhaps 60 miles per hour there. Gonna have to see if we get a downstream warning or not to include Michigan City. Based on velocity, I really don't think we will for considerable. We may see a severe for baseline 60. That's up to discretion of the National Weather Service, and also storm reports as well. Those storm reports are really important during situations like this to allow the radar operators to know what is exactly going on at the ground. Radar shows this, but what is actually happening at the ground? So storm reports are very important here tonight across Indiana as a whole. And our severe thunderstorm warning south of Danville was allowed to expire. That is good news here. But we have a very dangerous situation unfolding across Michigan here tonight. We have a tornado warning, which does include the Grand Haven and Muskegon area here. I don't want to take away focus solely from Indiana, but this is worth talking about here, especially if you have any friends and family north of state line here. Grand Haven is just getting rocked right now. 80-mile-per-hour winds coming into the Coopersville area, Sullivan area, Ravinia area as well, just south of Muskegon Heights. An extremely dangerous squall line here, and I don't say that lightly. This is an extremely dangerous situation. Possible spin-up tornadoes, 80-plus mile-per-hour winds here, destructive tag on this Boeing segment here. That is going to be heading just to the north side of Grand Rapids. So a lot of people live up here. If you have any friends up there, do let them know what is heading their way. And that is a very dangerous situation unfolding in southwest lower Michigan. Back to our considerable warning here in northern Indiana. It is likely going to be allowed to expire. Our gust front is coming to the edge of the warning box here, but you don't have to go very far north before you see some very potent winds here. Going to be moving into Berrien County, Michigan, Benton Harbor, and there's our severe thunderstorm warning. Well, maybe. That was weird. Popped up, went away. We'll have to see if our warning bar pops it up here. That would likely include the LaPorte area, Michigan City area, and South Bend, perhaps South Bend, Indiana. We'll have to see if that pops in. And there it is. There's our severe thunderstorm warning. They have downgraded it to a baseline severe thunderstorm warning, which is good news, but I'm not surprised to see them go ahead and issue that, as this has a history of producing 60-mile-per-hour winds. Quarter-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds here. This is issued by the National Weather Service in northern Indiana. This is for St. Joseph County, north central Indiana, and LaPorte County in northwestern Indiana, as well as Berrien County, Michigan as well. 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail. This is radar indicated, and this is until 11:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time and 10:15 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Storm motion is moving east at 40 miles per hour. It has slowed down just a little bit, but still showing signs of some pretty gusty winds here as this line of severe thunderstorms moves off to the east and northeast at 40 to 45 miles per hour. North Justin, you guys are in the clear right now. You guys are okay at this point in time. All the storms are to your north. We're going to have to keep an eye on some storms developing. Our cold front's still off to your west, so we're not out of the clear yet for North Judson, or really anywhere in Indiana at this point in time. However, we're going to have to keep an eye on this cold front and our cap situation. Something also to note, we're going to have to watch for storms developing on the south side of this storm complex. This storm complex could develop new storms on the south side, especially as it moves into northeast Indiana and northern Indiana. So that's something we're going to have to watch here throughout tonight here on what we call tail-end Charlies. What are our tail-end Charlies going to do if they develop on the south end of the storm complex that is currently moving through southwest lower Michigan? And you can see we have weather alerts all the way from the Keweenaw Peninsula in Michigan all the way to northwest Indiana. So a pretty widespread event here tonight across Indiana and the Great Lakes region as a whole. Several tornadoes were reported in Minnesota today, thanks to this severe weather system. And tornadoes are possible in Indiana tonight as well. It really just depends on how these storms evolve and if more storms are able to develop tonight along the cold front and if that cap is able to erode. Valparaiso, have a little bit more time. You guys are still in this severe thunderstorm warning for another 15 minutes here. Gonna have to watch the cell to your south. Could have some hail in this guy. Yeah, right in here, just to your southwest. Could have some hail within this, perhaps dime, penny size, maybe a few quarters mixing in there as well. So not out of the woods yet for Valparaiso. Rain's gonna pick up a little bit, especially to your south. And some more hail there moving along the toll road there. Coming into the LaPorte area, Michigan City area, getting into some small hail as well. Back to our velocities. There's our gust front sitting right in here. This is going to move right up the toll road towards LaPorte, New Carlisle, and New Buffalo Township in Berrien County, Michigan here. This is where we're at. Extreme portions in northwest Indiana. This is our only severe thunderstorm warning in the state of Indiana. We have two of them. One for Lake and Porter County, which will be likely allowed to expire, and our new severe thunderstorm warning. This one is for St. Joseph County and LaPorte County until 11:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 10:15 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Quarter-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds are the going hazards here with this box here. But you don't have to go very far north before you get into some significant wind gusts here. 80-mile-per-hour winds possible within this blowing segment here, as well as spin-up tornadoes on the leading edge here with this severe thunderstorm warning and tornado warning here for west central Michigan. So if you have any friends living from Holland, Muskegon, Canaan Township, Big Rapids, all the way down to Kalamazoo, again, heads up, some very potent thunderstorms moving in their direction. We're going to have to watch this complex as it moves and interacts with the cold front across northern Indiana. Some of these storms could develop, and this storm complex could also help break and erode the cap across northern Indiana, allowing storms to form and build on the south side of the storm complex. So that is something we're going to have to watch on the evolution of these storms here tonight. But we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect here for another hour and 13 minutes here. 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail are the going hazards here with this severe thunderstorm warning. And this is until 11:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time or 10:15 p.m. Central Daylight Time. So kind of in between radars here a little bit, but you can see your gust front here kind of draped right about like that. That's kind of what it looks like here, with the strongest portion of the gust front sitting across, coming into the LaPorte County area. Porter and LaPorte County is where the strongest portion of the gust front is. Michigan City, LaPorte, Indiana. Moving right along the I-90 corridor, right along the toll road here is where those stronger winds are right now. Moving into Michigan City right about now, getting into some gusty winds. Moving into town, perhaps up to 60 miles per hour, right along the toll road there. You can kind of see how that has a little bit of an apex, a little bit of a backwards bow to it. And that is because of a gust front associated with it, getting some stronger winds on the back side of that and being pulled down to the ground. Further south, we have a thunderstorm that was severe at one point in time, but that is showing signs of weakening significantly as it approaches the Indiana border, which is good. If you hit play on radar here, you can see the evolution of that storm. Looked pretty healthy back here near Urbana, but is now showing signs of weakening and collapsing in on itself. And if you look really closely, Watch right in here. You can see a line protrude south of the storm. That is an outflow boundary. This storm has likely became what we call outflow dominant, meaning its downdraft has taken over and its updraft is weakened, and the storm is collapsing in on itself. So it is dying. Essentially, it is entering the dissipation stage, which is what we want to see here, and that is largely thanks to our cap that is in place across Indiana. It was able to break in Illinois, but our cap is still going strong here in Indiana, which is going to play a role in how widespread our severe weather is across the state of Indiana here tonight. Our gust front is getting ready to come into the LaPorte area in Michigan City right now, seeing some winds. New Buffalo Township and Berrien County, and New Carlisle coming in on some winds here as well in St. Joseph County. Might get some winds here with this system as well. I'm going to be keeping an eye on this as it moves off to the east-northeast at about 40 miles per hour or so. Yeah, yep. Tornado watch is in effect for Grant County until 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I'll go ahead and show you that tornado watch. Go ahead and toggle it on here, and I'll show you who's included in that watch. It'll be every box that you see in yellow. There, they just popped up here. So think west of Fort Wayne. Grant County, there's Marion down there. You guys are in the watch. Huntington, Whitley County, all the way up here to LaGrange County here. And a tornado watch until 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, all the way to the Lafayette and even Vermilion County getting in on that tornado watch until 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 2 a.m. Central Daylight Time for this tornado watch. We're going to have to keep an eye, though. These storms are likely going to be very isolated in nature, and that is thanks to our cap that we have in place. Better confidence along the top row counties in Indiana for those thunderstorms that develop along the southern edge of that line. Lower confidence the further south you go on how much forcing we're going to have available for these storms to develop, flourish, and form and thrive in tonight across Indiana. However, if any storms are able to get up and sustain themselves and redevelop here, if the cap is able to erode, are possible of all hazards, and some of them significant. Scattered wind gusts, significant, 75 miles per hour possible. Scattered large hail and isolated very large hail up to tennis ball size, 2.5 inches. So very large hail possible in isolated supercells, and a few tornadoes, a couple intense tornadoes possible, meaning EF2 plus tornadoes. The environment is capable of producing a strong tornado tonight. However, that risk is highly conditional. Are these storms going to be able to thrive and sustain themselves before the cap tears them apart and prevents them from sustaining themselves? That's the big question mark, and that's the elephant in the room here tonight across Indiana. What is our cap going to do as the cold front enters northern and central Indiana tonight? But right now, our only severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for Steuben County, LaGrange County, as well as Porter County, a little bit of Lake County still involved here, thanks to our supercell here coming into Valparaiso. Could get on some quarter-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds possible with this. They did drop the considerable warning, which is good. However, we do still have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in effect here. 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail in effect here until 11:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Go ahead and toggle that back off here so it's not super confusing here. This severe thunderstorm warning right in here, 60 and quarter is what it is warned for, and that is until 11:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 10:15 p.m. Central, and that is for 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail, radar indicated with this storm for St. Joseph and LaPorte County, as well as southeastern Berrien County in Michigan. However, Porter County still in a severe thunderstorm warning for 7 more minutes here. 60-mile-per-hour winds and penny-sized hail. So this thunderstorm is producing some gusty winds, damaging winds south of Valparaiso and near the Valparaiso area, moving right along US 30 here, moving off to the north and northeast at 55 miles per hour. Train weather spotters also reported tree damage in Crown Point, Indiana. So some tree damage has been reported here in the area. So again, these storms are mixing down some stronger winds aloft down to the ground, and it has caused some tree damage, it sounds like, near the Crown Point area in northwest Indiana. So do take this seriously. This is a serious situation. It is a severe thunderstorm warning. It should be treated as a severe thunderstorm warning as well. So So LaPorte, Indiana, Michigan City likely getting into some strong winds here. Switch radars here just to get another look at it. Pretty decent wind gusts here coming into extreme northern St. Joseph County, or LaPorte County rather. Just south of the Bering County, LaPorte County line here. Some decent winds there near the Springfield area, New Buffalo Township, Three Oaks area. Getting into some pretty decent winds there associated with our severe thunderstorm warning. So if you know anybody traveling along the I-94 corridor tonight, make sure they have ways to receive warnings while they are traveling. Right now, quarter-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds is the only hazard here in Indiana at this point in time. They took the tornado possible tag off this morning. They trimmed that back, which is fantastic to see. Further north, in Michigan, we have destructive severe thunderstorm warnings for 80-mile-per-hour winds here. A very intense band of showers and thunderstorms associated here. Look at these pockets. These pockets of winds are very intense here, but you can also see some embedded hook echoes here. We call that mesovortices. Some embedded areas of rotation, not only on the leading edge, but embedded within this band as well. So tornadoes, damaging winds, destructive up to 80 miles per hour, possible anywhere up and down this line here. Thankfully, on the south end, here across northern Indiana, we are on the weaker side at this point in time. 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail is the going hazard here, and this does include South Bend, LaPorte, and Michigan City, Indiana, until 11:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight through. Or daylight time, rather. The biggest uncertainty tonight is our cap across Indiana. What is our cap going to do? Is it going to erode? Is the cold front able to spark off showers and thunderstorms across the state for them to become severe? Or is it going to be isolated and solely isolated to northern Indiana tonight? That is our big question mark, and that's really the elephant in the room. Looking at area soundings from around the region, our cap is still holding strong. Wilmington had a balloon launch, which is in Ohio, just off to our east. And this shows a very stout cap, a very thick, juicy cap still in place, which doesn't show signs of breaking at this point in time. We have several hours before the cold front reaches over there, so plenty of time for it to erode, evolve. But we have a pretty strong cap in place across the majority of Indiana, which is keeping a lot of these storms at bay at this point in time. A couple severe thunderstorm warnings so in effect here across northern Indiana, all the way from Lake County, Porter County, LaGrange County, and Steuben County till 11:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Quarter-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds, moving northeast at 40 miles per hour for these thunderstorms here coming into the LaPorte area and Michigan City. Michigan City likely in the clear here. You guys are calming down. New Buffalo, New Carlisle, going to be seeing some gusty winds approaching your direction here pretty soon. But train weather spotters have reported some tree damage over by the Crown Point, Indiana area. So these storms are capable of producing damage within these storms as well. Radar indicated for Steuben County and LaPorte County, but we also have spotter confirmed damage here in this warning for the Valparaiso area. However, this severe thunderstorm warning will expire in 2 minutes. We'll have to see if this one gets a warning or if they're going to let that expire. That'll be determined by the National Weather Service and their confidence with these storms as well. But these are our only severe thunderstorm warnings in the state of Indiana at this point in time. Once this one expires, we'll be down to one severe thunderstorm warning in the state of Indiana. That'll be for LaPorte County and Steuben County in Indiana. Getting in on some damaging winds to 60 miles per hour and perhaps some small hail. Quarter-size hail is also included in that warning tag. Yeah, thanks for that report, Ari. I appreciate that. Saying she has an uprooted tree in front of her house, but they have power, so that's good. Coming from the Gary, Indiana area. Yeah, thank you for that report. I appreciate that. I love being able to know what you guys see or have going on at your location. So I appreciate that. Thank you. And glad you still have power, too. That's a plus. Severe thunderstorm warning still in effect here. This one here is getting ready to expire in 1 minute. That is for Lake and Porter County, Indiana. We got 1 minute left on that severe thunderstorm warning. We have an hour and 1 minute left on this severe thunderstorm warning, unless it is canceled early, which it could be canceled early. We're going to have to keep an eye on trends here on radar, but right now it is on the weakening trend for these storms here across northwest Indiana, which is good. It's what we want to see. But we do have tornado watch in effect until 3 a.m. for pretty much all of northern Indiana, west of Fort Wayne, all the way from LaGrange County to Grant County, Indiana, and points westward. It does include Lafayette and Vermilion County as well, under that tornado watch until 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 2 p.m. Central Daylight Time for that tornado watch at this point in time. St. Joseph County, Indiana, right now, you guys are not looking too bad. The strongest winds are actually across northern LaPorte County, north of the toll road, just northwest of Rolling Prairie, moving into Berrien County, Michigan, Three Oaks area, Galion area, US 12 there in Berrien County, Michigan. A little bit of a gust front moving into the LaPorte area, US 30 and points northward, coming into the New Carlisle area, maybe getting a little bit of gusty winds there as well. Our severe thunderstorm warning was allowed to expire for Porter County and Lake County, Indiana. You guys are in the all clear. Getting in some heavy rain, maybe some pea-sized hail for Valparaiso, but you guys are no longer in that severe thunderstorm warning. We are down to one severe thunderstorm warning for St. Joseph and LaPorte counties in northwestern Indiana. 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail here with the strongest gust front right now crossing the Indiana-Michigan border near the Heston area, moving near Three Oaks, New Buffalo, getting in on some strong winds there, perhaps 60 miles per hour. But points southward, it honestly doesn't look too impressive. It's on a weakening trend at this point in time. So once this gust front moves completely out of Indiana and into Michigan, I wouldn't be surprised to see this severe thunderstorm warning trimmed back, unless we have spotter confirmed reports or other damage reports or some mesonet measurements of the winds at the surface that say otherwise. We'll likely see this severe thunderstorm warning trimmed back, which is good news at this point in time. This is a conditional threat for severe weather across Indiana here tonight, and tried to communicate that the best we could, that though the severe risk is quite high, meaning it has a high ceiling event, it could go really big, but in a very isolated nature, and that is because of our stout cap that we have here. Think of a cap like shaking a soda bottle, but because it has a lid on it, no soda can escape from the bottle until that lid is broken or that cap erodes away, and then that energy is allowed to rise. Those air parcels are allowed to rise, rapidly condense into cumulonimbus clouds, thunderstorms, and thus we have thunderstorms. But until that cap erodes or breaks, or until that cold front is able to initiate storms off of it, most of Indiana is going to be dry tonight. A little bit of rain. Very humid, though. You're going to be able to cut the air with a knife tonight anywhere in Indiana. Doesn't matter where you live. It's going to be sticky. But in terms of severe weather, that's the bigger unknown at this point in time. What's our cap going to do? Is it going to be able to erode? Are we going to be able to get additional development ahead of the cold front here tonight? That's what we don't know at this point in time. But if storms are able to get up, all hazards are possible across Indiana, from tornadoes, large hail, up to baseball size, tennis ball size hail can't be ruled out, as well as damaging winds up to 75 miles per hour. So again, all those hazards exist, but they're going to be in an isolated fashion. Not everyone's going to see rain. Not everyone's going to see storms tonight, with a better chance of storms actually coming tomorrow across central and southern Indiana. Models have been very keen on a storm complex, much like what we're seeing in Michigan tonight. Think like a big bow echo of storms moving across southern and central Indiana tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night. That's going to be something we're going to have to watch very closely as these storms evolve. Right now, the strongest winds are actually in Berrien County, Michigan. I actually wouldn't be surprised to see this warning canceled, if I'm being honest with you guys. It really doesn't look too impressive. Winds appear to be below severe criteria in LaPorte and South Bend. There could still be some winds mixing down that are just not being shown on radar. So that is an important factor here. But based on reflectivity, I'm not seeing a whole lot here other than Berrien County. But that's also a factor here. When you have less rain, so the way velocity works on radar, the way we see winds is actually the radar tracking how fast these raindrops are blowing. That actually helps the radar out quite a bit. If you run into, if there's no objects moving in the air, the radar can't see it, which is why we can't see wind on a windy day with no precipitation. The radar appears clear until we have rain or until we have moving objects that the radar can pick up on. So we may not be getting a full interpretation of what the winds are doing here in LaPorte County and Steuben County just because we're running into what we call clear air. There's no rain associated with it. It's very light in nature, so it's very hard to depict what the winds are actually doing at the surface. There is some mesonets in the area. We could get some confirmed wind reports via weather stations in the area. But if you live in any of these areas, let me know in the chat what you see, what is going on, and what the winds are doing in your area at this point in time if you're in LaPorte or Steuben County in Indiana. I would love to know what is going on at the ground at your location if anyone is watching from the LaPorte area in particular up to the new Carlisle area as well. Let me know in the chat what you guys are seeing. See a question in chat. What about Northern Indiana tomorrow? Well, you guys are in a slight risk and a marginal risk, which is a 1 out of 5 and a 2 out of 5 for tomorrow. It's conditional. We're going to have to see how the day evolves tomorrow and where these storms fire. They could be north, they could be south. We're just going to have to see how the data trends tomorrow. But the entire state of Indiana is actually in some level of severe risk tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. A little bit higher confidence, though, for central Indiana and southern Indiana tomorrow. We'll continue to post updates on the page. We'll have severe weather outlooks posted for you to keep everyone in the loop here and ahead of the storm ahead of tomorrow. But the good news is we quiet down for the weekend. A beautiful weekend, and get this, low humidity is expected both Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be a very beautiful weekend where we don't have to feel like we're cutting the air with a knife on Saturday or Sunday. Today we're in the oppressive range, which feels like Florida. But as we move into the day on Saturday and Sunday, that humidity dial goes back down into the comfortable range for a couple of days. So that is something to look forward to. Severe thunderstorm warning still in effect for LaPorte and Steuben County for another 54 minutes here. 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. This is our only severe thunderstorm warning in the state of Indiana at this point in time. So if anybody is watching from this area, though, South Bend, LaPorte, even down to the Wanata area as well, US 30. Let me know what you guys are seeing in this cell here. You can see our gust front stretched right in here. This is our gust front here. It's moving from US 30 up to the toll road here, South Bend area. That's where our gust front is currently here. Getting ready to come into Rolling Prairie, likely in Rolling Prairie right now. New Carlisle coming into some gusty winds. Not a lot of rain here. These thunderstorms are pretty weak in general. But they are mixing down some stronger winds down to the ground, which is why we have our severe thunderstorm warning in effect here. It's really hard to get a really good interpretation of what these winds are doing at the surface because they're in a clear air scenario. We don't have heavy precipitation to really fully gauge what these winds are doing here. So do let me know what the winds are doing in your area. South Bend, Indiana, you guys are in a severe thunderstorm warning, but it doesn't look too considerable at this point in time. Doesn't mean the winds aren't there. Radar has a really hard time seeing how strong the winds are when the precipitation is really light. We need some heavier precipitation for the radar to get a better gauge on what the winds are doing. Kara says, pretty windy in LaPorte. Some strong winds there being reported there. So, yeah, good to know. Thank you for that report. So we do have some stronger winds there being reported here, and I have a traffic can in LaPorte. It's shaking a little bit, but the winds there do look to be below severe criteria, and I'll show you that. I'll pull that up here for you, actually. Here's the live look out at downtown LaPorte. See the camera there moving back and forth a little bit, but look at the trees. They're in the background. They're just to the right of that truck. They're not really moving all that much. So the winds are pretty light in nature here, and part of that could be the gust front has just already passed as well. But the
the winds look to be below severe criteria, at least in LaPorte. So that's some good news there, according to that INDOT camera there, thanks to Indiana DOT. Strongest winds in Berrien County. Berrien County seeing some stronger winds and maybe even a little bit of rotation there, but that is going to be moving off to the north and northeast, away from Indiana. But severe thunderstorm warning still in effect, 51 minutes here, quarter-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds here associated with this severe thunderstorm warning. Our supercell that tried to enter the state is hitting the Indiana Force Shield at the moment, and that is our cap that we have in place across central Indiana at this point in time, and that is making this storm have to work a little bit harder, and it's having a pretty difficult time at this point in time. But we're going to have to watch here, sitting right along the cold front here. Any eroding or weakening in the cap will allow thunderstorms to redevelop and develop fast. We have a lot of juice. We have a lot of energy, but unfortunately it's capped. We have that lid on the soda bottle still, but the soda bottle is shaken. The Mentos are inserted. It's just, will that cap weaken enough for the air and bubbles to rise and condense into thunderstorms and cumulonimbus clouds? So that is something that is a little more uncertain at this point in time, and will remain uncertain throughout the remainder of the night. But plan on isolated severe storms throughout the remainder of the night and into early tomorrow morning. Our tornado watch across northern Indiana is in effect until 3 a.m., but notice a lot of our supercells across southern Illinois that were developed between St. Louis, Springfield, Bloomington, Chicago, they've hit this cap, and it's like hitting a wall. They've just died, and that is because they are moving into a stable environment because of that cap. Caps can act as a force shield a little bit in the atmosphere, and they can stop storms from forming, and they can also kill storms that move into that environment just because of that cap. So I'm going to have to keep an eye on that as these storms evolve and the cold front moves through the state here tonight. Right now, South Bend, maybe some gusty winds, but to be honest, on radar, these storms are not very impressive here across LaPorte and South Bend. Doesn't mean the strong winds aren't there. It just means they're not being picked up on velocity very well, and some of that could be lack of precipitation. Clear air, as we call it. The radar is calibrated to track the movement of raindrops and particles in the air and translate that into wind speed, miles per hour. But if we don't have any raindrops or particles in the air for the radar beam to interact with, it's not going to get a very good interpretation of what the winds are doing exactly on the ground. So there could be some stronger winds on the ground here that we're just not seeing on radar just because of clear air or lack of precipitation. But also our radar beam here is kind of high. We're kind of in between radars here. We're in between Chicagoland and northern Indiana here. So we are in between radars here, which makes it a little bit more tricky in terms of looking at velocity here, because we're not exactly on the ground. We're a few thousand feet above the ground. So what we're looking at is actually above the ground at a few thousand feet, but could be mixing down to the ground. Back to our LaPorte cam here. I'll show you what's going on in LaPorte at this point in time. You can see traffic moving there. But if you look at the car headlights there, you can see some rain, a little bit of wind there. But overall, looks to be below severe criteria in LaPorte at this point in time, and a lot of that could be the leading edge of the gust front has just already passed. But getting into some heavy rain, though, that'll be moving back into the LaPorte area. Pretty heavy cell moving in. Maybe a little bit of hail just on the south side, and some stronger winds maybe showing up near the Kingsbury area as well. Getting in on some stronger winds action as well. In fact, we have precipitation picking back up here in LaPorte. Some heavy rain, some gusty winds moving back into town here. We are facing southeast here, so the winds are blowing from the northwest here behind the camera. You can see the winds there blowing towards the stoplights there. Pretty heavy rain here moving into town, but again, looks sub-severe in nature, at least in terms of winds associated with this thunderstorm. We're going to continue to watch it, though, just to see how that trends and evolves here as this storm moves into town. Maybe some pea-sized hail in the core coming into downtown LaPorte as well. Could have some peas in there as well. A little bit of a heavier core there as well. We'll watch this as this cell moves back into town. This is actually the strongest storm in Indiana at this point in time, mind you. Unless we see any other signs of intensification of any other cells, but right now there isn't any. This is our strongest storm in Indiana at this point in time, and looks to be below severe criteria here in LaPorte. So that is some good news there. Camera shook a little bit, some heavy rain, but really wasn't too bad. This is at State Road 2 and US 35. Some gusty wind there, but that's about it. Oh, there we go. We turn back on our velocities here. Show you what is going on here. Some stronger winds just to the south of LaPorte, though. Kingsbury area getting into some gusty winds, and could have some gusty winds renewed in the LaPorte area. A little bit of a gust front right in here. It's kind of how it is with some stronger winds right in there, just north of Kingsbury. But again, looks rather unimpressive. Looks sub-severe on radar at this point in time. But it's so hard to tell what is going on at the surface because of the lack of precipitation. Because of how small these storms are. Radar has a hard time with that. And actually, the winds are really picking up in LaPorte now. I'll go ahead and turn that back on here, and I'll show you guys what is going on. See the rain curtains moving in here with the core. Pretty strong winds coming in here, and this is actually maybe getting close to severe criteria here. Moving back in, and this is kind of what we're showing here. Though radar did not look that impressive, looks rather impressive there on the INDOT cam. Winds there 45 plus for sure. Moving into town there, you can see the camera shaking there, the wind's blowing there up the street, and look at the trees there on the left-hand side. You can see the winds swaying those branches back and forth. This is downtown LaPorte as the core of this storm moves over town. So some pretty gusty winds here associated with that cell, although not very large in nature. Very heavy rainfall, maybe some pea-sized hail associated with this storm as well, as it moves just off to the north of Kankakee in LaPorte County and eventually getting into Steuben County as well. So this is what scenes could look like in the New Carlisle area, Rolling Prairie, maybe in the Crumstown area as well. Stillwell could get in on some heavier precipitation as well over the next few minutes here. And there you can see it's dying down again. The worst of the core has passed. Not a very large storm, very small in nature here, but did have a pretty decent gust front on it, maybe 45-mile-per-hour winds. But also look at the ponding on the roadways. Torrential rainfall occurring in that storm, in that cell there. And there are some gusty winds south of the storm as well. There's an outflow boundary I want to show you guys. You can really see it on velocity here, right in here. Notice how there's no rain, but we do have an outflow boundary right in here, so you could have some gusty winds associated with this outflow boundary near North Judson and Knox. The winds can pick up a little bit. The air could cool down a little bit as well, but our severe thunderstorm warning was allowed to be canceled. We are currently in all clear mode here in Indiana. We have no active severe thunderstorm warnings in the state of Indiana at this point in time. This thunderstorm is trying not to die here as it moves out of Vermilion County along the I-74 corridor, but again, sub-severe at this point in time. As we go to our neighbors to the north, a much dire situation is ongoing here. Very strong winds coming into the Hudsonville area, Wyoming area, coming into Grand Rapids Metro here. Very, very strong winds coming into Grand Rapids here. And look at this near Dorr. Very strong here, likely some rotation here as well. Right in here, this is what we call a QLCS spin up. In fact, let's take a look at that just to see if there's anything on the ground here. Yeah, tornado actually on the ground here. This is actually in Michigan near the Dorr area. Right in here, likely TDS coming into the Dorr area. We're going to have to watch the New Salem area as well. But again, possible tornado on the ground. Going to have to see how that trends. This is what we call a QLCS spin up. Very possible there. Hit play here. This is not in Indiana. This is in Michigan. We're just looking at our neighbors to the north here. Yeah, look at that, how that spins up here. Yeah, tornado, likely tornado on the ground, moving towards Dorr. Dorr, Michigan, just south of Grand Rapids. With another area to watch just to the north as it's heading near the south side of Grand Rapids. So if you know anybody inside Grand Rapids or around Grand Rapids, Michigan, let them know. We do have a tornado, likely tornado in progress, moving towards the Dorr area. QLCS spin up in progress there. Something to see there. Back down in Indiana, though, we are all clear All severe thunderstorm warnings have been allowed to be canceled. We do have a tornado watch in effect, though. Go ahead and toggle that back on to show you that. Here we go. Tornado watch does remain in effect here, and actually the tornado watch was canceled for central Indiana. So Vermilion County, Lafayette, Kokomo, your tornado watch was canceled. It has been canceled tonight due to low confidence in that cap breaking. So that is some good news. Get up to see what the National Weather Service does up here in the Storm Prediction Center, if they keep this tornado watch or if they cancel it as well. But right now, we have no active severe weather warnings in the state of Indiana. We do have a tornado watch, but this tornado watch has been allowed to remain in effect until 3 a.m. But again, possible TDS on the ground near Dorr, Michigan. Actually, go ahead and go back here for those of you that are watching here. And there we go. Radar indicated rotation. But again, this TDS is still hanging on right here with another possible spin up just to the north. There could be two on the ground. Right here, and right here. Two possible tornadoes on the ground. We call these QLCS spin-ups. One for sure on the ground coming in the door. And this is south of Grand Rapids. Again, TDS, tornado debris signature, getting picked up here on radar. So again, a very dangerous situation here across Michigan here tonight. Very strong winds moving in the Grand Rapids area as well. But again, likely tornado on the ground there near Dorr, Michigan. If you have any friends in South Grand Rapids, do let them know that a very dangerous storm is approaching town and the south side of town at this point in time. And all along this line, possible spin-up tornadoes are possible. But again, northern Indiana, you guys are in the clear at this point in time. All storms have weakened below severe criteria at this point in time. We're going to have to see how trends move throughout the rest of the evening here. But at this point in time, hang on here a couple more minutes here just to watch this cell here across northern Indiana as it moves into St. Joseph County. But after that, if we're not seeing any signs of additional development, we're probably going to hop off here and end the stream until we see another severe thunderstorm pop up. And the isolated nature of this event is going to remain very isolated here tonight. Our cap is very strong, so there's a chance we may not see additional development across Indiana. It's very conditional on what this cold front is capable of and how strong our cap is. And our cap is very strong across Indiana tonight, and that may save us from an otherwise very potent severe weather risk like our neighbors to the north are seeing here in Michigan. But again, there was a TDS on radar here near the Dorr area, or tornado debris signature, debris ball on radar. Go ahead and turn that back on here just to take a look here for our neighbors to the north. And it is still there. Right in here, just passed over Dorr. But notice how it has a more bowed out nature to it. So this tornado is likely turning into a gust front here, but still something to watch here. Spin up tornadoes are possible tonight. Even in Indiana, we could have some, even a little bit of rotation near the Allegan area as well. So if you have anybody listening and watching here across central Michigan and southern Michigan, do let them know a very dangerous storm is going to be traversing across the entire state of Michigan tonight. And we're going to have to watch the southern end of this line here across northern Indiana to see how these storms evolve. But for right now, they have weakened below severe criteria. We are in all clear mode across Indiana at this point in time with really no other signs of development at this point in time. Our cap is holding strong. We have no other signs of development. We have a couple showers, but they're struggling right now because of our cap that is in place, and we knew this could be a possibility. It really wasn't all or nothing, and model guidance was trying to have that cap eroding and breaking ahead of the cold front, promoting an enhanced risk for severe weather across Indiana tonight, but that cap is still holding strong. But still have a ways to receive warnings if they are issued here tonight. But for right now, I don't really see any other signs of intensification. So we're going to go ahead and end our stream here, and we're going to pop back on if severe weather looks to come back in. And if another severe thunderstorm warning is issued in Indiana, we'll come right back live to cover that from beginning to end. So again, have multiple ways to receive warnings here tonight in Indiana. The severe risk does extend into the early morning hours after midnight here tonight across Indiana, so have multiple ways to receive warnings. Stay weather aware. Tornado watch is still in effect for northern Indiana till 3 o'clock a.m. Eastern Daylight Time for areas west of Fort Wayne. We're going to have to see how that trend evolves, if that tornado watch is going to be allowed to remain in effect or if it'll be canceled early as well. Like our tornado watch for Vermilion County, Lafayette area, has all been allowed to be canceled because of our lack of confidence in severe weather tonight. So with that being said, we're going to end our stream here, and if you missed anything, we'll continue to post updates on the page here throughout tonight to keep you ahead of the storm.